C.J. Parker.
Yes.
It is a pleasure to meet you.
Absolutely. You as well. You're amazing.
Well, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Grew up in the Quad Cities. I'm a musician now. I feel like I've been a musician all my life. The word musician has multiple connotations.
Oh,
It
yes.
could mean I'm a singer or an artist or a producer, or I play a bunch of instruments. I say that I'm like that whole thing. So I just say musician now.
Okay.
But yeah, that's kind of my thing. Grew up doing music all my life, and so yeah.
What got you interested in music?
From a young age, church. My dad's a pastor, and at the time he was a minister in the area, and I grew up learning from some very expert figures in the music world in church. The organ players, the drummers, the guitar players, or whatever. So, and my dad was also the choir director, so I learned 3-part harmony at a really young age. And my mom was a singer, so I learned how to sing at 2 years old and was singing West Side Story when I was a kid. So, music kind of started. I didn't have a choice. It was kind of those things. If you grow up in LeBron James's household, then you're probably going to be a basketball player. That was kind of me with music. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about when you talk about, growing up in the church and being musically inclined within the church. I'm Second Baptist Church of
Yes,
Merced girl,
absolutely,
and
yes.
so, you see all of these people who are just excellent musicians,
Yes.
excellent organ players,
Yes.
piano players, guitar players, singers, who will never be on a national or international stage,
Right.
but they are professional in every way.
Yeah.
Was that sort of what got you started, what put you into this position now?
Yeah, I feel like it was inevitable because my ears were always surrounded with it, whether it was a choir rehearsal, whether it was a service. And then, because my dad was the choir director, I had the chance to sit behind the drummer and sit behind the organ and watch them do what they do. And church itself is we say it's the best music school in the world because you learn from people who do it their entire lives, and they do it to give God glory. And so we feel like that's the best weapon ever. And to see that at a young age is what kind of fueled me to try it out myself, So being around musicians like that, then there's so many, I could name like so many around here in this area, but they really helped me become who I am.
Okay, the topic for this month is literacy, and there are different types of literacy, especially in music,
Yeah.
because that's a voice people use to communicate as well.
Absolutely.
Why do you think that's such an important subject for
Yeah, well, I'm a teacher, and so I always ask my kids the first day, which is actually funny enough, today is my first day as a band director at Rivermont Collegiate. And so the first question I'm going to ask them, and what I ask a lot of kids is, raise your hand if you like music. And most of them will raise their hand. There's always one or two kids like, I don't like music. And I go, you don't like music? And they're like, no, I don't even like it. And I was like, okay, before you continue, who's your favorite artist? And they'll name me 4 rappers. They'll name me a whole bunch of stuff. I'm like, oh, so you do like music? And all the kids are like, ooh. And it always happens like that. But I think music is probably the most intricate language and most important language in our society. Music has a way of being transcended throughout each language. There's people that I performed with before that are from the United Kingdom, that are from China, that are from different places, and we all can play the same thing. And we all can read the same music. We all can listen to the same music and get the same feel. So it's really important. And if you don't have music like a part of your life, like if you're not like getting in your car and turning on music, I think you probably have a little weird life. Like, I think it's very a silent, weird life. I don't know of anybody that does that. You can listen to your podcasts and stuff, but even podcasts have music.
Right.
There's music everywhere, whether you're watching a TV show, whether you're watching a movie, there has to be music. So I think it's best language. I guess I'm biased though.
Now, you said that you're teaching at Rivermont Collegiate.
Yes.
And you're talking about teaching kids.
Yes.
What is it that kids know and come into music with a sort of special idea or gift just
Yeah.
how do you teach a child?
Yeah. So I think the best thing to learn, and the thing to learn for educators as well, is every kid thinks differently. We know this when we teach kids language arts. We know this when we teach kids reading and things like that. But when it comes to music, we expect them to be in a bottle. And that's something that I want to help break. Every kid thinks differently about music. And there may be some times where they're listening to artists that you may not have heard of, but you need to cater towards what they like rather than what you think they should like. You know, I think that's really important for me being a band director. There's things that you have to learn. There's a foundation that you absolutely do have to learn. But when it comes down to it, if a kid loves doing something, then we need to cater towards them doing that thing. And music is, like I said, a universal language. There's so many different connotations. There's so many different ways we interpret music. There's jazz, there's blues, there's rock, there's soul, there's funk, there's R&B. But in the grand scheme of things, music is music. And we all speak differently. I think when kids come into class, and I ask them who your favorite artist is, they name an artist, some kids go, ooh, or some kids go, that's trash, right? But I think that's the beauty of it. We like what we like. And that's the first recognition for a child of, oh, I prefer this.
Right.
And it's, the first thing that they prefer is probably a snack or something like that. But then they're like, I don't like this music and I like this music. This is one of the first things that we see of kids deciding and kids doing something for themselves. So I think it's really important to cater to what they like to do rather than what we think we should input on them.
When I was a kid, I took violin lessons for 7 years.
Okay, all right.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
I had a good time doing it. Didn't like practicing all the time.
Right.
But I eventually got to a point where I joined a youth orchestra.
Sure.
And I quit. I realized that I was never going to be as good as the people around me who wanted to do this as a profession.
Sure.
Who wanted to do this as a job and who were much more dedicated about practice and about doing this.
Sure.
Do you ever run into any of that with the people that you teach?
Absolutely. I can tell you, as someone who was also a part of ensembles and growing up and doing music and things like that, you see people that work harder because they want to be better at it. I think you see it in any sport or anything. You always see some people that are like, oh, they're really good at it. I don't know if I can get to that level. That's where we have to meet the kid where they're at. That's where we have to go, okay, what can I do to make your experience better? A lot of times educators can be focused on winning, being the best that their ensemble can be. And then in that, you start to lose children because they're like, oh, well, I don't know. I might not be working hard as them, or I don't know if I can match up to what they're doing. That's when we have to meet the kid where they are and go, hey, what makes you excited about music? And that's where we get back to the cater to them thing. That's really important. But for a kid who's might not be sure about if they want to continue whatever, there are other avenues. Absolutely. There is theater, there's drama, there is choir, there's show choirs big around this area. Right. Like, there are other ways that you can get into music. And I think if your educator is making you feel a certain way, if you're going and doing these other things, then we have to reevaluate our educators. That's what I'm looking to start to change as well. But yeah.
Music has played a huge role in the American songbook.
Absolutely.
But also, when you think about American music, you think about the Black influences
Yes.
in all different aspects
Yes.
of American music.
Yes.
How do you teach that?
So another cool thing is here where we are, we're at Common Chord right now.
Yeah.
And what we teach a lot about is blues and the foundation of blues. And we were just talking about sinners and stuff like that.
Right,
But
yeah.
the foundation of blues comes from black music, comes from Negro spirituals. It comes from the call and response and the anguish and pain and the communication. And that is something that I think is more important to talk about than a popular artist right now. We need to make sure that the foundation is set and that the kids know where this music comes from. Because if we're talking about, the American Revolution, if we're talking about World War II, I know in school, we know those pinpoints. We can tell you how World War II started. We can talk to you about Archduke Franz Ferdinand. We
Yeah.
can talk about all those things. But when we get to blues music, where we get to certain types of music, we only talk about what's going on now and not what started it.
Yeah.
And I think black music has a lot to do with the foundation. Not only what I'm talking about blues, but country, R&B,
Right.
jazz, funk, gospel, all that stuff starts with black people.
And I think, there are a lot of kids out there who have no idea who Big Mama Thornton is.
Yeah, right, right.
But once they hear that, and
Yes.
I've seen this happen, they realize, oh my goodness, who is that?
Absolutely,
And they want to know more.
Absolutely.
And they want to hear more.
absolutely.
And
Yes.
I'm sure that's something that you pass along to your students.
Absolutely, especially in the grand scheme of there's a thing that we like call samples,
Yeah.
where artists now are sampling what artists were doing before, and they'll be like, "Ooh, I love this song. Like, I love what they're doing in this song," and we go, "That's actually from that. That's actually from." Etta James. That's actually from Stevie Wonder. That's actually from Michael Jackson in the 60s. And they go, oh, okay. So that's another thing that we sort of run into that we love to talk about as well.
When we talk about music, we talk about its effects on people's emotions, but there are also cognitive effects.
Sure.
There are also effects, when people are teaching, when they are learning, when that help them along the way through high school, through
Yeah.
college.
Right.
How do you impart the importance of that to your students?
I think it's really important to understand when we're talking about music, I think it's as important as talking about math. I think it's as important as talking about history, because it is history, as we've talked about. Like I said, kids morph into what they want to understand, what they want to learn, and in the end, when you go to college, you pick what you want to learn. You pick what you want to be, what you're good at, and what you want to excel at. And at the end of the day, I feel like music is going to be a part of whatever you're going to do.
Exactly.
Any capacity, it's going to be a part of it. So why not embrace it? Why not take the time? Hey, I'm going to try out some new music, because music can also change your mood. It can change how you're feeling when you wind down after the day. You're going to turn on some music. Okay, I need to clean my house. I'm going to turn this on, or I'm going to do some homework. I'm going to turn this on. Things to help focus you. I think it's like the best. I don't want to say drug, but music is definitely the best thing. Influence, for sure. Absolutely.
What do you think is the future of music?
Oh, we could go two different ways.
That's way too
I know we could,
broad a question.
So no, it's. I think the future of music has. I'm different, like you said. I have a positive outlook on it. I think music is going to become better than we've ever thought. It's starting right now, where the things that are being produced and put out not only are being sampled, but they're being recreated in a way that the young person can understand and resonate with. I think words are more important than beats, and the words that are being written right now have a negative connotation, especially when we go to the rappers and things like that. Those words have a negative connotation, which leads to a negative society. Music is powerful. We've been talking about this the whole time. Music is the universal language. So when that universal language is negative, then what do we expect our outcome to be? So I think we're shifting to a more positive era. We want to dance more. We want to move more. We want to sing more. This TikTok era has changed music as well, to where people want to record themselves singing to a song. And I think that is changing the outlook of society, to where everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to smile. I think there's an innocence in, I feel, the upcoming era. In music, there's going to be an innocence to where people are going to want to go, I love this music, I just want to dance, and I just want to have fun. Because my parents always talked about the older eras, like the 70s and 80s, and how people were just dancing. Dancing and having a good time, listening to music,
Watching the Soul Train.
Yeah, Soul Train,
Yeah.
and just doing the Soul Train line and just having a good time and embracing the music that was being played. And it's kind of shifted into an era where we're listening to hear negativity.
Grittier.
Yeah, very more, and because that's the time we're in. That's the time we were in, especially when COVID hit. The music that was in COVID, like, go back and listen to some of the stuff that was released in 2020. Everybody was sad. Everybody. There was not a single everyone was like, what is going on? How are we going to get through this? And I think we've passed that era. We're now in 2025. And I feel like we want to be happy again. So the music that's going to be created for the next generation is going to be not only excellent because the technology in the right way is being used very well, in the right way, because there's also AI, and it scares me. It really does scare me. But I think this next era is going to be a really accomplished group of people, really accomplished musicianship, and I think that language is just going to get stronger and stronger.
CJ Parker, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you so much.